Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. I am a UX design student at Career Foundry, and for these last several months I have been working on designing a financial application that really focuses on millennials and Generation Z. The purpose of this app is to allow users to have a holistic view of their finances. In today's video, I will be sharing with you guys the process that I went through for the usability studies to gather qualitative information, and I will share how I prepared for the usability studies, as well as who my participants were and the results of the usability studies. In the end, I will also talk a little bit about the preference testing that I did to supplement the information that I gathered through usability studies. If this sounds like something that you are interested in, please make sure to like my video and subscribe to my channel to continue following me through the journey of becoming a UX designer. The type of usability test that I conducted was a moderated remote test, and my approach was to create scenarios for my participants, then ask them to complete specific tasks using the mid-fidelity prototype that I designed. In order to make sure that I am gathering the information I need to improve this design, the first step that I took was to prepare for the usability study. The way that I prepared for the usability study was first to define the goal of the test. What is my goal? What information am I trying to gather? So my goal for this specific financial application that I'm working on was to understand how users will interact with the application, focusing on the key features of the app. My key features are asset aggregation, coupons, and credit monitoring. So these are all features that the application will provide to the users. Next, I defined my test objectives, and with the test objectives, I got a little more specific. My first test objective was to learn if users are able to easily find and use the available retail store coupon codes. My second objective was to learn if users find the credit monitoring feature valuable. And my last objective was to learn if users can easily and successfully link their external bank accounts for the asset aggregation feature. The usability script was broken down into different parts. The first part, I gave them some background information about the financial application that we're testing. The second part, I explained to them what to expect from the usability study and how long it would take. And finally, the last part of the usability script, I explained to them that I would be reading out scenarios to them, then ask them to perform specific tasks. I also asked them to try to think out loud as much as possible. This way I can understand their thought process and what they're feeling as they navigate through the prototype. Another part that is very important is to really emphasize that we are testing the prototype and not testing their capabilities. After having a solid understanding of what I was trying to gather from this usability test, I started reaching out to potential candidates that would qualify as participants for my usability study. And like I mentioned, this financial application is really focusing on Generation Z and millennials, so I wanted participants that fell into that category, which meant finding participants from ages 21 to 33 years old. To ensure that I didn't miss any feedback that my participants were providing during the usability study, I asked for their consent to record the sessions. This way I could go back and review the information collected. After completing the usability study on all 6 of my participants, I went back, I reviewed the videos, and I organized the data using techniques like affinity mapping and a rainbow spreadsheet. The tool I used for affinity mapping was Miro. I personally prefer using virtual post-its instead of physical post-its. I think it keeps me a lot more organized. I can also access this information from anywhere when I have a laptop, and I get to save some paper. So I assigned each participant a different color. Participant number 1 was yellow, participant number 2 was blue, and so on. The next step was to create categories like observations, positive quotes, negative quotes, and errors. And as I reviewed every video, I took notes on what was said during the study. I then grouped all of the similar feedback, and this helped me determine if it was high priority, low priority, and how often these errors were happening, or how much feedback I got on the specific topics. Some examples of the feedback that I received was 2 of the 6 participants were not able to find the link external accounts button. And from what I observed, they thought that that button would be located under the transfers page. When I asked them why they thought that that is where the button would be located, was because from their past experiences, whenever they're linking external bank accounts, it is so they can transfer between their primary bank account and the external bank account. So in my opinion, this was definitely a high priority item that I need to resolve. And the reason why it's high priority is because this is one of the key features of the application that I'm designing. So I want to make sure that users understand the capabilities of this feature and what this feature will be used for. So in order to solve for it, I will be creating an onboarding process that explains what the feature is for. And I do think that that will resolve for the problem, because in the previous surveys that I conducted in the beginning of the design process, I have learned that there are several individuals out there that didn't fully understand what asset aggregation meant. So I think because it's not a very common feature on most banking apps, this is still something new. Another example of the feedback that I received was some of my participants expected a button at the top of every page where they can click and be directed straight back to the home page. And I decided to take a step back and conduct some further competitive research. So after looking at several competitors, I found that applications that use the navigation drawer versus the navigation bar do not have a button at the top of every page that directs users back to the home page. So after looking around and creating some options to solve for this, I decided to stick to the design norms and keep it as is. And finally, the third piece of feedback that I will be sharing with you guys is that some of my participants also felt that the home page focused too much on their transactions, and they did not find this very valuable. They felt that the home page should focus more on their accounts and their available balances. So for this, I decided to conduct some further research by conducting a preference test to help me collect some quantitative information and just learn more about what other users are thinking. The way that preference testing works is very similar to A/B testing. It is to compare 2 versions of the same thing, and for this specific situation, I was going to be designing 2 versions of the homepage to learn which ones users prefer. Here is the original homepage I designed, and this is the second version I created without the transaction history. I was shocked to find that 88% of my users preferred the homepage without the transactions, but I thought it was very important that I conducted this quick preference test because it allowed me to learn about what others prefer rather than what I thought was the better version. And because preference testing is very easy to do and I was able to gather very quick results, I took it one step further and just tested out the light version versus the dark mode. Again, the dark mode was the winner, which I was again shocked because I personally preferred the light mode, but like I said, it's important that we focus on what the users prefer and and what they like instead of just going with what us as designers would think would be the better version. So that is all I have for today's video. And again, if you are interested in following my journey to becoming a UX designer, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my video for more content like this. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them below. I would love to connect with you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching.